Hey there, you're listening to the Not So Breakfast Show with Sasha and Ish. You're listening to the Not So Breakfast Show, the podcast for leadership and career development, and this is episode 100. We are talking about those times that you needed to step up and take charge, and what did you learn from that, plus a bit of weird goal setting.
So maybe we could set up this thing where for the first episode of season 4, you are 2 kilometres away from me with your piece of writing. And if I can run the 2Ks to you, you'll let me read it. That'd be cool.
I like it.
That'd be really cool.
I like it a lot.
But anyway, that's the show. Let's get it.
All right, welcome to the Not So Breakfast Show today, and this is episode 100. I posted out on social the other day. I think we'd done 1 or 2, and it was a couple of years ago, and here we are 100 episodes later, and this is the one we're going to talk about, that time you had to be in charge. Something happened, opportunity came up, and whatever it is, but you took charge, you did something, and what were the learnings out of that? And Sashi, how are you doing today?
I'm so excited. You and I don't quit. We like spending time together, and when we commit to a program, we're committed. We commit to a project, we're committed. When we commit to people, we're committed. So I don't know why I'm so surprised that we made it to 100, because we will always make it to 100. But I'm so proud of us. I'm proud of you. You've done so much work to make this happen. And I'm always coming across people that say, oh, I listened to that podcast the other day and I learned this and I learned that. And, you know, for you and me, our motivation is just to help people, to share some of the stuff that we've learned along the way. So yes, 100. That's great. Congratulations. Well done, man.
Yeah, well done to both of us. It is pretty exciting, actually, although we are going to take a break. So this is going to be the end of season 3, and then we're going to come back with season 4 maybe sometime in the new year, and just keep on trucking.
Imagine how many more thoughts we're going to have if we have a break in recording. You're going to listen to some podcasts and watch some movies over summer. I'm going to read some books, and we will come back fresh into 2023 just brimming. The podcast will be 90 minutes each time. Listenership will go down, but we'll still have a great time.
They'll be like, it's too long. There's too much talk about movies and Netflix. Get back to the knowledge bombs that you guys drop. So that's what we're going to be doing. We're dropping it today. So we're talking about times you had to be in charge, maybe when you were forced into a leadership position. And whenever I think of this kind of topic, sometimes I defer to those moments where something has happened. And I'm reasonably good in a crisis if it's in the moment. Not so good in a long-term drama that could be playing out. My wife Jo is much better at that stuff. She can anticipate the future stuff really well. She can handle her emotions over a longer period of time, whereas I tend to overthink and sometimes overanalyze if it's something that's a little bit more scary or something that's going on in their lives. But if it's in the moment something's happened, I'm the guy. Like, I've rescued a couple of kids from drowning, like literally been round the swimming pool, everyone's sunbathing, and I remember one of them distinctly and vividly, and it was just a little kid on a floaty. Everyone was facing the other way, and they'd fallen off, and they were obviously in the deepest part of the pool, but they weren't a little kid. Like, they were like 10 or 11, but it was still over the head. And what had happened is, as she had fallen off the kind of lilo thing, she must have breathed out. And at that point, all of a sudden, she couldn't get that buoyancy to get back up again. And when I saw it happen, I thought, wait, did I just see that happen? And there was quite a few of us around the pool, but by the time I had seen it happen, realised what was going on, I was in the water, and I do remember the eyes rolling back in the head. Like, it's a pretty scary moment. We got her out, got her to the side, vomited up the water, and very grateful parents. But man, every time I'm around a pool now, I'm always on a little bit of emergency lifeguard duty. I just can't quite shake that feeling.
And did you have, and what fascinates me about that, yay, thank you, Ish, thank you for saving that girl. how much thought did you have versus how much were you just in the moment? Like, as you describe it, it sounds like you were in the water before you'd even really consciously recognized what was going on.
Yeah, it was definitely like I knew it was worse than what we were seeing. And it would have been one of those silent drownings. Like it just would have been, she just couldn't get up. But the way she had fallen off, and because I thought, she's quite tall, so why is she not coming up? And I think it was just in the moment, I just thought, I'm just going in. Like I would rather go in and get it wrong than not go in at all and regret it. So it was literally a choice. I'm looking around. It wasn't a, hey, the kid's drowning, turn around, mum and dad, who are just, literally 4 or 5 meters away playing with the other child. By the time I dive in, I'll be there faster anyway, and we're on.
What lessons do you take from that incident?
Well, just that classic one where they say don't take your eyes off kids in the water because it...
Oh, okay. So good. Yes, I was thinking of like what leadership or self-reflection things, and you're like, oh, well, no, health and safety. Stop drowning.
From a leadership perspective, it probably does speak a little bit to my nature. Like at the moment, we've got a massive workload on, but everyone's got a juggling a workload. And everyone's got their stuff on, but I also know where my A game is, and I know what I can do quite easily. So there's been a couple of little tasks that have come up that have been passed over either to a department or someone, but it's slightly out of their scope in amongst all the noise, whereas it's fully in my scope in amongst all the noise. So what I've opted to do is just go, I'm just going to take it and I'll get it done. And they were like, but you've got heaps on. I go, yes, I know that, but we've all got heaps on, but this is in my wheelhouse. And one of them was editing a clip that needed to be done. And I was like, well, I'll just get up earlier. So I got up at 5 and just came down and just bashed it out. I could have stayed in bed till 7 and done my normal routine, but time is there if you need it, right? And it just became the priority. Let's get that done. I know that helps the team. It's an opportunity for me to step up, create more brand equity that Ish can save the day, superhero complex as I have. But still.
Ooh, how's your ego, boy?
My ego's good at the moment, Sash, as a result. And yeah, I nailed it.
I love that idea that comes from Kevin Mialamu, who was an All Black front row forward. And he talks about running towards the pressure. And this idea that when the going gets tough, what firefighters do is they try and get to the seat of the fire and they go towards the source of the problem. They don't just kind of back away and go, oh, well, hopefully the fire will stop. They go, pressure's on, let's go. And when I played rugby, I was a winger. And so we very much do not run towards the pressure. We very much run away from all that, crash and bash front row forward stuff. We just wait for the ball to pop out to us. But what forwards do is they go towards the ball, go towards the breakdown. And I think there's so many opportunities for people who are wanting to further their career, or even mid-career people, when they're saying, how can I lead, or where are my opportunities? It's that go to the pressure points. Look at where are the sticky things in your businesses, your organizations, your companies, where people go, that's a sticky bit. You could step up and say, I could help with that. That's something I could do. Give that to me. I'll get that sorted. It might be organising the Christmas party. It might be taking care of the conference for next year, or just doing a job that needs to be done. Maybe there's part of the building that's really tricky to clean, and you're trying to find a cleaning contractor, and you go, actually, I could probably just get up a ladder over the weekend. Leave that with me. Let me be the one to help. So where are those opportunities just to put your hand up and say, pick me in the moment, recognize where the pressure point is and go towards the pressure?
Yeah. So why don't we shape into the opportunity conversation and stepping up for opportunities that come up? But have you had moments of crisis or anything that's like, I'm on? It's me. Can you think of anything?
Yeah, there's been a couple of situations. The one that's most obvious is a similar parallel to your drowning thing, where Mum and Pushy would have been about 9, and we were driving in Christchurch. And we had already moved to the North Island at that stage, but we were doing a little bit of a roadie, and we were in Christchurch, and we were the first car on the scene of an accident, and a bus had hit a car. And so that car was in pretty bad shape. And so I just parked off to the side And I said to Mum and Portia, you guys stay in the car. I'm just going to go and have a look here. It was like that sixth sense that maybe my unique skills might be of use. Now you can say, well, what unique skills do you have? I have no first aid certification at the moment. I have no experience in road crashes. I couldn't tell what had happened. I'm not police trained, but I just had the sense that maybe the things I am good at might be useful. And I always want to serve and make situations better than they are. And when I got there, it turned out it was a bus going to the airport. So there was the driver who was very shaken, and then there were 7 or 8 passengers who had varying levels of English between them, and they were starting to freak out about getting to the airport. They needed to get to their flights, and the police were coming, and the police wanted witnesses, but they quickly worked out that there were language issues. And then there was the problem of the people, not the problem, but the challenge of the people that were in the car. The driver was very conscious and awake and talking and fine, and his passenger was not. And unfortunately, his passenger was dying as this was all unfolding. But there was nobody at that scene that was doing anything about any of the obvious issues. One was making sure that someone was tending to the woman who was in a really bad way. Someone needed to be tending to the driver and getting him to stop screaming because she was dying. And we needed to sort the driver out who had gone into shock. And we needed to start thinking about how we were going to either get these people to the airport or notify the airlines that they were coming. No one had organised any form of transport for them. So there was just a lot to be done. And without even really thinking about it, all of that assessment took place in about 30 seconds going, nobody here knows what to do. And I don't actually know what to do either, but I can easily see there's 4 or 5 things that need to be done. So I just took charge of the scene and gave some people directions, gave some people some comfort and some certainty until the professionals arrived. And as soon as the professionals arrived, it was like, great, wicked. There's people here who know what they're doing. But I didn't have a conversation with myself where I was like, oh, what could I do? It's not really any of my business. I should just get back in the car and drive on. And there was no thought about the dinner booking that I was going to be missing. It was just so clear that someone needed to step up and that in that moment it could be me. And I hate stories where it sounds like, oh, I'm the hero. It's not that. It's more just that actually it's a privilege when you get into situations where the skills that you have can be of use. And that's how I feel about those things.
You think about those stress responses of the fight, flight, freeze. And, people respond differently. And if you know how you respond, then obviously it may be in certain situations where you just know it is me. You may just need to be able to take a breath and kind of think what actually is going on in this situation and how do I deal with it, especially if your stress response is run away or your stress response is freeze. How do we actually step into that fight mode where it's like, well, actually, if it's not me, then who? And we need to step up.
Yeah, it's fascinating to watch this in a coffee shop context when it gets really busy. So we have a whole lot of fantastic young people that work for us, but when they first start, it's really hard to explain to them what it's going to feel like in a rush. And you can talk about it, but until it happens, I don't think people really appreciate how quickly the dockets build up. So you can go from having one docket on your coffee machine to about 3 minutes later there being 15, and those 15 dockets might each have 3 different coffees on them that need to be made in 3 different cups, 3 different ways, 3 different toppings, and suddenly it's like this Jenga minefield of how are you going to manage that. And these are, what society calls unskilled labourers who are actually doing this like algorithm of mental gymnastics to make it happen. And some of our young people are amazing, and some go into that freeze mode. They literally freeze. We have people that walk away from the coffee machine. They walk away from a pile of dishes. You find them out the back in the busiest rushes. You go, hey, kid, what are you doing? And they go, just taking a breather. We had a young guy the other day who was out the back in tears. And it wasn't because anyone was being mean to him. It wasn't because there was anything untoward going on. He was just having this almost physiological response where he's going, it's just getting too busy and my brain is requiring me to shut down. So in some respects, we can help train him and adjust him to it. And others, you go, is there a disposition thing that means this kind of busyness is not good for your nature. Your nature doesn't like it, because a whole bunch of other people, they go, oh, here we go. I love it when it's busy, because you get this real kind of groove on and rhythm, and it feels so cool when you smash out a whole lot of great coffee, a whole lot of great bagels in a short space of time. And there's a whole lot of people that rise to that. They really go into fight mode, and under pressure, they find the best of themselves. So it is fascinating to witness, just even in that little coffee shop example.
We'll be right back.
If there was one skill that could double your income, advance your career, and increase your ability to influence, it is the skill of presenting. Whether it's on stage, in the boardroom, or at a job interview, the 30-minute presenter program will help take you to the next level. So check out our Instagram page, click the link in the bio, and get started on the 30-minute presenter program.
Yeah. Well, in our example with, I guess, working for Les Mills and working in national office, there's opportunities to do little presentations and things that come along. And you see that same sometimes response from people where they realize that it's like, oh my goodness, I've got to do the presentation, I've got to speak. And it becomes the fight, flight, or freeze. They're either like, yeah, let's do it. I'm on and I want some help and I'm going to take some feedback and I'm going to listen. There's ones who are just going to go, I'm going to leave it for now. I'm going to deal with it later. Oh dear. And suddenly it gets really close to the day, and the stress compounds on itself. It doesn't start to alleviate. Or you do the freeze thing where you just literally, it just becomes a drowning experience, like live in front of people. So by taking those little opportunities and seeing them as a chance to step up, as a time to take charge of something, it's the stretch. That's how we get good at things, by seeing what we can cope with. And often what we can cope with is based on our previous experiences. So if we haven't had a lot of previous experiences with some stress in them, suddenly when the new thing comes along, well, it does seem really, really big. Absolutely.
And if you take the dish rush, once you've been through a dish rush and you've made it, the next time the dish rush happens, oh, that's cool. I've already learned that I can do this. I've already learned that this is within my skill set. So it's just having that ability within ourselves to go, yeah, I'm going to give this a go. This is something I could do. I can see an opportunity here. Let's go.
We had a really good example of single tasking the other day in a stressful situation. So Joe and I had gone to Wearable Arts, and we went to a hotel that we quite liked, but they were understaffed and they were under pressure. But there was one particular staff member who was pretty young, who all they were really having to do was seat people at the restaurant for breakfast. But at that point, they obviously knew they were a little bit short on tables. There was a line. So they just went almost like head in the sand. So they just went head down and just started to load what they called load the docket. So we're, starting to line up. Nobody's being talked to. They're not looking up to even acknowledge. They're just, nobody's here, nobody's here, nobody's here. So then I kind of went over and I said, hey, just wondering how long it will be. And she didn't even look up. She said, I've just got to load the dockets. It's like, yeah, I get that. But you've got a line here. We just need to know that you've seen us and that someone is going to be coming over. And so she looked up and then she looked down and loaded the dockets. And then someone else, someone else came over and said, "Oh, look, we're really understaffed, but we will be with you shortly." And it was fine, but it was literally, I don't even think there was any opportunity for this person at that point. It was just head down, you're not here, and I'm going to deal with this one thing.
If I can't see you, you're not there anymore.
Yes.
No, we are. We're still here. It's always interesting when there's opportunities and people don't take them. And I wonder, we've talked about those three base human fears a lot, what holds people back, and it's the fear of not being liked, or the fear of being seen as incompetent, or, the fear of being insignificant. I think it's really interesting to recognize for yourself why you resist taking that opportunity. And things that may have been true for you 5 years ago aren't necessarily true now. And the opportunity to grow necessarily requires us to change. And if you were a person who 5 years ago would never speak or do a presentation, that doesn't mean you are still that person now.
But if you don't try, right, you don't know. And sometimes those stories that we tell ourselves around, well, actually, I'm just this type of person, or I'm no good in those situations, or I just can't do that type of thing. If we keep telling ourselves over and over, we'll give ourselves more than enough evidence to back that up. And we never give ourselves evidence to the contrary. But actually, if we think about what we were talking about the other week around mining your past, and you think, well, I don't really have natural leadership qualities, there might be times that you have been forced to step up and do something, and you have done it, but you just haven't recognized it's the same skill set. It might have been under a stress response, but you stepped up, you dealt with something. It's the same skill set that you may use in actually a corporate environment or a family environment or a meeting environment, whatever it is. Those things really are a great reference for changing the way we think about our behaviors.
I'm fascinated by this idea that the stories we tell ourselves about ourselves aren't true. And so I'm challenging myself around running. So I love this idea that when people are giving up smoking, one of the ideas is just immediately in all of your languaging, just talk about yourself as though you are a non-smoker. You don't say, I'm a smoker who's trying to give up. You just go, no, I don't smoke. I'm not a smoker. I might be having a few smokes at the moment, but fundamentally I'm not a smoker. So I've decided to tell myself that fundamentally I'm a runner. I was born to run. I'm not running right now. And today, in fact, I'm dressed for running just in case the urge to run overtakes me and I do actually start running. But it's a really fascinating switch how often I tell myself, oh yeah, you're not really a runner, you're a dancer. And I'm like, both of those things can be true. And I'm going to be exploring that. I know last time I told myself I was a runner, I started running and I got really sore IT bands. Remember this? I went to a physio and I said, oh, my IT bands are really sore. And she said, oh, if you haven't run through your whole life, don't start running now. So I could either hold on to that as being true, or I could just say there's probably another physio that will help me deal with any pain that I experience because I'd like to run.
Yeah, well, and what's the definition of running? Like, is it just that it's faster than walking for a couple of Ks, as opposed to what most people think is, well, if I'm not doing a marathon, I'm just not even in the game.
Yeah, I've got this idea in my head that it would be really nice to be able to run a couple of Ks and just know that you've got that in the bank if you needed it. That's all. Just if I needed to run a couple of Ks, I mean, could I run a couple of Ks right now? Absolutely, I could, but it would be very uncomfortable. And so I'd like to get to the stage where I could just comfortably run a couple of Ks because that feels like a life skill. That feels like I think people should know how to play chess. I think if you don't know how to play chess, teach yourself to play chess because you're never quite sure when the moment's going to arise and you know, I wish I could play chess now. You might be in like a hostage situation with like some Russian overlords and they say it's chess for your freedom and you go, well, I wish I'd listened to Sasha on the Not So Breakfast Show and actually learned how this game works. But it's in that kind of wheelhouse for me, I think so. And so to get there, I'm going to have to reframe and step into that opportunity. And that's exactly the same with work opportunities.
You can tell the better runners, though, with how they treat the lights, where they have to cross the road, because the newer runners, they jog on the spot and they push the button and they wait, and then the real runners just stop and look really pissed off.
Yeah. So I reckon now that we've come to show 100, it's a great opportunity to all challenge ourselves and say, so what have we learned so far from the 100 episodes? And as we go into this little break, it's for you and me and for everybody to think about where are the opportunities to step up as you think about some of the stuff that we've talked about, leading your team, leading yourself, getting a little side hustle, overcoming fear, all the various topics, being a better team member, being a better employee, being a better parent, taking more time for yourself, do more, do less, all the contradictory advice that we've given over the past 100 episodes. Just think about what do you want to do with it? What's the opportunity to step up and do something different? And I'm going to commit to say, you know what, guys, I'm going to try running. I'm going to try and get to the stage where I can run a couple of Ks more easily. And so when we come back to record season 4, you can hold me to that. You can say, Sash, how is the running going? And I don't want to be the one that says, well, let me tell you a funny story about my IT bands. So, yeah, can you think of anything that you go, hey, what could you work on, or what could you bring your consciousness to, or think about over the break time that would be stepping up? Not leadership that's forced on you, but leadership that you are choosing to do yourself.
I love this time of the year because of the natural reset in rhythm and the natural tendency there is to goal set. And even though we can goal set whenever we want, and time is this imaginary construct that we've just made up.
We don't have to wait till Monday.
Exactly. And it doesn't matter if you get 7 days into the new year and you blow it. Like it doesn't matter. Like you can make change wherever you want. I do like the reset fundamentals. So I will probably do what I normally do, which is do a bit of an audit on different areas and where I'm happy and where I'm not, and what things are giving me joy and what aren't, and what could I let go of and what could I do more of. But I'd like to learn how to write better. So writing is one of the things that I struggle with, mainly because I struggle with spelling. And although I can tell myself I'm a good speller all the time, Sash.
You can. And also, there's that mind shift you can make that go, being a good writer is not about being a good speller. The spelling's just the detail, right?
I love that.
The writing is the expression of your voice on the page.
Yeah, that's right. While we're doing some therapy, it's the thought of someone seeing that and judging it, and it's that fear of being seen as incompetent, right? They'll kind of go, oh man, I thought Ish was really onto it. He talks a good game, but he writes an 8-year-old game. So that's...
But you get that's in your head.
Exactly, I get that's in my head. So I need to, as a result, I don't practice the art of writing. I mean, I spend a lot of time in email, but I get really good at writing short, sharp emails that just get the point across.
Yeah, wow.
And so what I would like to do is maybe spend a little bit more time writing some long form and kind of practicing that. And one of the podcasts that I love, and we've had Chris on the show, is This for Credits, which is actually a podcast for English teachers, really understanding teaching English and all the changes that are happening within the school system. But I've just found it fascinating. One, because I love the words that they use, the lexicon vocabulary.
Oh, stop it!
I love the words that they use. I love the way they shape them and put them together. I love the thought process that goes in behind the thinking. And obviously, I hated all of my English teachers, and I'm sure there's pictures out there somewhere with daggers in their eyes. But now I think about the amount of work that goes into actually teaching and the thought process and behind building those lesson plans. I've just found it really fascinating, and I've found it quite motivational to maybe have a go at looking at longer form writing or how I can strengthen that part of my skill set.
And I would love to read something that you've written completely without judgment. I don't care about the spelling. So maybe we could set up this thing where for the first episode of season 4, you are 2 kilometers away from me with your piece of writing. And if I can run the 2Ks to you, you'll let me read it. That'd be cool.
I like it.
That'd be really cool.
I like it a lot.
There's one other piece of reflection that I've been having lately that it's kind of paradoxical because it comes from this biblical idea. But I read it the other day and it really just struck me as being something really powerful that I need to embrace. And I want to share it with you. And it was that idea that the scripture talks about the joy of the Lord is my strength. And whether you think of whatever you think about the Lord or not, or the universe, or however you conceptualize things that are bigger than us, it was more this idea that joy is a source of strength. And that I think it's been such a tough couple of years through the global pandemic, all of the inflationary and economic pressures we've been under, the health pressures, the changes in our society. And we talk about resilience and strength of character and being strong. And it comes from this toughness and grinding it out and doing the mahi and being hard. And you and I are both really good at that. When it gets tough, we get going. But I think joy is also an enormous source of strength. And how much pleasure do we get from working with people that we like and working on projects that make us smile, and not just projects that are worthy. And I'm a bit earnest. I'm all about doing good in the world. But actually, it's okay to do stuff because it's just bloody fun and it makes you laugh. And so I'm going to be more deliberate. I mean, I've said this before, but I just keep coming back to that laughter and lightness that fills your spirit, and it's part of the human experience to just be joyful. And rather than seeing that as frivolous, rather than, I need to have a bit more joy because life's a bit hard, actually to recognize that joy can be a real source of strength. And I'm going to be thinking about that over our break as well.
Nice. So over the break, Sash, going away, having a little bit of a sabbatical holiday?
No, we work through Christmas. We take little days here and there, but it's really lovely for us to be able to say to our team and to our team of owners, hey, guys, we're on standby if you need. There's often some tricky legal issues that come up over Christmas, staff perhaps not turning up because they're, feeling a bit dusty, a little bit rinsed after a few too many celebrations. So I'm on hand to handle kind of employment challenges, but I will get a break. Because, of course, 2023, I'm turning 50.
Yeah.
So I'm having the Festival of 50. The entire year will be dedicated to me doing whatever I want to celebrate being alive. So, yeah, there'll be plenty of holidays in 2023.
Nice. Well, I'm turning 50 in 2023 as well. So,
are you having a Festival of 50?
No, but I think I should now that you've claimed a Festival of 50.
Challenge laid down.
Yeah, totally.
When's your birthday?
22nd December, so I'll be at the end of 23.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, so I'll give me the warm-up act.
Yeah, that sounds good. But I am going to take a break this Christmas, and I'm going to do the big 4. I haven't done a 4-week holiday before. But
unreal.
I know. Yeah, we haven't had an opportunity to actually take a break. So I'm taking a good 4 weeks. We're going to do a bit of a mini break as a family, just in New Zealand. Going to go to Queenstown, going to go to Dunedin, back through Christchurch, because it's so much harder now to juggle the school and university and the fact they're both working, all of that kind of stuff. So we're going to take a really cool little family break in the middle. Outside of that, I'm going to try to read a book. I'm going to try to hang out with Joe. I'm going to try to just do stuff that I like doing and chill. Amazing.
4 weeks in a row. That just sounds incredible. Our listeners in America will be weeping. Ha! Unionize, suckers. Unionize. Get some labour laws that adequately protect employees. I'm so delighted for you, and I just can't wait to read what it is that you write after I run there in season 4. Yay!